Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I feel like there's so much every week to talk about, but it's all just different versions of the same thing. That there ends up being nothing to talk about, but we'll do it anyways. And as always, I want to remind you guys that at the end of this month, we're going to be giving away on Patreon to a lucky patron all these three things. We get the Lihu's awesome water resistant emergency hand crank radio slash battery bank with flashlight and everything else. I really like this thing. It's a cool, compact, much better than the crank crap of our youths. LED technology has gotten so much better. The hand crank generated battery technology has gotten so much better. And then we got an emergency light and a throwable slash passive fire extinguisher. Those will all be one bundle to a randomly chosen patron. The amount of entries you get is dependent on what your tier is. Link will be in the description as always. What's up, Stabbing Joe, Utah Mike, Mr. Landfills, familiar faces. Appreciate you guys showing up. And the last person who won was only a $1 patron. And there's still only like 11 to 13 people, something like that. So your chances are good. And even though the world's collapsing around me, I'm in a good mood because we've gone 5-0 in our paltry little NFL bets for today, me and my buddy. And now we just need Joe Burrow to close it out to go 6-0. And then I will spend the monies probably on Monday to get more of this. Because this is money. This. I had a garage sale today too, sold some junk. This is paper. It's an abstraction. This is first order wealth formed in the heart of dying stars. No matter what happens, this will exist and have its awesome properties of being the most conductive metal, crucial to modern civilization. Did you hear about what happened at the Trump Coachella event yesterday? No. Was there something related to somebody being, all right, SBQR, the party can get started? If you guys want to hear the most awesome song that's playing in my head every time I rock out to Freedom and Victory, it's this Freebird remix. I'll put the link in the description. It starts from the eagle noise. And then the guy's like, what the fuck is a kilometer? It's great. And I don't know why people always say that the Americans aren't down with the metric system. Because I'm over here with grams in my pocket, 9mm, kinds of metric system. Yeah, let me know what happened at the Coachella event. I did not hear about it, so it must not have been too crazy. First thumbs up, thank you, John. But yeah, we are in a weird place because obviously cash was needed after Helene. And I've been adamant about that you have, with just everything that's going on with potential cyber attacks, the grid is too interconnected. Commerce, not just commerce, but you can't name anything isn't dependent on the internet at some stage of the chain of, not chain of custody, what do they call that? It's somewhere along the chain that electricity, obviously, but even just connectivity, internet, that goes down so much of that stuff, like even stuff like the pumps, like at a gas station, they may have power, and even the internet may even control certain things like the pumps, or even if it doesn't, they have power if the payment processors are down. Sometimes the register itself, even if it's normally able to accept cash, might not be able to open the drawer or do whatever, validate the cashier's credentials to allow them to use the system, all sorts of stuff like that. There's so much interconnectivity that the capabilities are wild. It's given us a lot more comfort, efficiency in a lot of ways, but it also makes everything bottlenecked in so many more ways, just like modern cars, where if your key fob goes out, car is done for. If the sensor is saying that your butt is in the seat decides to go haywire, you're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? If a tiny little pressure sensor or whatever, wiring, a little relay, all that stuff. So it's the capabilities and productive capacity has gone way up. But the resilience has gone way down, and the interconnectivity domino effect that can happen as a result of failures has gotten to the point where it's catastrophic. Major failures are kind of fewer and far between, seems like, but major failures are probably even more likely now than they were in the past. There's always this apocryphal story of this guy who interviewed, I'm mildly retarded, sorry, who interviewed, it was called the Hermit Men of, or something Men of China, about these hermits who lived in the mountains of China. And after the, Mao's Great Leap Forward and that whole nonsense, millions, tens of millions of people had died, just shocking death and destruction. And when he asked them what they thought about the revolution, at least one of them allegedly replied, "What revolution?" Because he's just living in a cave in the mountains. Didn't affect him at all. He's so out there. Most gas stations had a $20 gas limit. There's all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, I don't necessarily buy that FEMA is purposefully, it's possible, it's certainly possible, don't get me wrong. I don't buy, though, that they are purposefully, with orders from on high, fucking stuff up. I think the amount of grift and incompetence and just actual inability to perform the primary function that these institutions exist for, and these bureaucracies, are so just destroyed. They're so unable to even perform their primary purpose that it seems like it can't be accidental or just incompetence. But I think I know that there are some things that are obviously being done on purpose, being done for so much reasons. But I think there is really that level of incompetence and red tape really exists out there, and I think you have to experience it even to begin to believe it. It's just too shocking to even grasp how bad the grift is, and how bad when it really comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road and you have to actually be able to do something in the real world, and actually have to perform, that these things just fall apart, and you realize just how bad they really are. And it's just impossible to imagine how they could really be that bad. Like, I think it's Bill Holter always said, or someone says, it's too stupid to be stupid. Some of it is just, you just cannot grasp the level of just incompetence and bureaucratic red tape and grift. Some of it's not pure stupidity, it's just grift. And you have to realize that the primary goal of these institutions now, and I was explaining this to someone about the news media too, it's not even necessarily that these news media are always trying to lie to you. They lie to us a lot, but it's mainly because their purpose is not to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Their purpose is always something else, whether that's money, whether that's to promote a particular ideology sometimes. So it's just, whenever you can't serve two masters in any capacity that involves the real world and zero-sum games. So if your primary goal, you don't have to be necessarily trying to give people lies, but if your goal is not to give them truth, then the truth is not what's going to get put out there. Even if your goal is just some other tertiary thing, like furthering my career, get the most advertising dollars, get the most ratings. Like, that doesn't necessarily, if someone's just saying, my goal here is to get the most ratings, that doesn't mean that they're trying to overtly lie to you. But anytime you have a goal and then everything is a zero-sum game when it comes to resource allocation and the real world. And so if the goal is anything other than delivering the truth, delivering real journalism, then that's not what's going to happen, especially not when there's multiple competing goals. And then every once in a while, you have people who really are trying to do malicious things mixed in the mix too. I believe a large armed force of FEMA got their butts kicked. I have heard that some FEMA guy got his ass kicked. I hope it's true. Oh yeah, SPQR says we need top 10 tracks for the apocalypse. I agree. I was also thinking of doing a video on things to put in your Faraday cage type setup that you might not think about. And one of the things I thought of was like, we really need to get some small ability to play music, maybe a little Bluetooth speaker, an old phone, or I cannot think today. What are those called? Not a thumb drive, but a hard drive. Some music on it so you can rock out. Boy, YouTube sure hates your live streams. I believe it. But yeah, so in general, the grift, because we have like if you saw there was a program that was supposed to deliver internet to rural previously unserviced areas in the country. And if I'm not mistaken, SpaceX, like not SpaceX, Starlink bid for this, and it was supposed they said they could do it for like I don't know, $600 a person or something like that. And they ended up like not going with Starlink, probably purely out of spite, and also, but also, like I said, because of the grift. And it was something like tens of billions of dollars allocated. So now, not only did they not do it for the $600, they ended up allocating $40 billion or something like $6,400 per person, and still have yet to deliver internet to a single person. And you and Starlink, you can just run up staples to someone's roof and you're up and running in like an hour. It's just that level of like shocking. And like, yeah, some of these things are a few individuals probably didn't want Elon to get the credit or the money. And other people just said, well, my whatever pet peeves or pet projects and pet constituents won't get the pork, or I just want some of the money too. You know what I mean? So I don't think that most of these people were just trying to screw over the individuals who ended up not getting internet, even though that may have been they don't care about it. But it's just all the layers of grift and the layers of alternate uh, motivations. But the grift is a big part of it. And we've always like growing up in the US, we'd always look at these other countries, like India and other things where there's just insane amounts of corruption and competence and just like scoff. That's happening here now. Like it's almost that bad. Like it's not hard to see how we get from where we are now to like India levels of just complete corruption. And like some of these Southeast Asian countries and stuff where this corruption is just open and just how the game is played. Space time continuing that brick wall is warping. Yeah, I know. I need to staple it at the bottom too. I also need to bring it down a little bit because the top is like I never show the top, and now I'm like I got the white down there exposed, so I need to go down a little more. Didn't do that right. And also I have the fan on full blast more than usual. But yeah, I'll try to staple it to the wall. So warping brick, the fabric of space reality is whatever I want it to be. But yeah, so let me know what any news on what the extra four high, what happened at the Coachella event yesterday? I still didn't see. Try to look up something really quick. Some guy arrested with a loaded gun. Interesting. That's all I'm seeing. Stop the driver of a black SUV identified as Vern Miller. He's found to be illegally in possession of a shotgun. Well, I don't believe that's such a thing. Charge of possession of a loaded firearm. Well, we'll hear more about that, but I hate that shit's ever illegal. Shouldn't be. But it looks good for faux brick though. Yeah, I know. If it doesn't move, it's flat, it's very hard to tell. Cold wave finally by Friday. I need it out here. It's been a warm one in Vegas. It was well into the 90s still today. I did a little mini garage sale to sell off, and I've been loving this hat. Got to look and see if these guys have a affiliate. And then if you need to go shooting, shoulder your rifle. You got a slouch action. That's if you guys want to check it out. I think this is Connor. Been loving that hat so far. I got news from S2 Underground, Godlike Production, Sovereign Citizen. Oh, is that what was happening? And dude, I've had multiple times the cops ask me, "Are you a sovereign citizen?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because all I do is say, I just say I don't answer questions. And are you a sovereign citizen? And, well, that's a question. I'm not going to answer that either. But what are you talking about? You're in Vegas and you watch the Tropicana implosion. That was crazy. They destroyed it. They just rented the place in 20. I actually did watch the Tropicana explosion. I busted out of a tournament to some bullshit. And so then I was just playing cash down at the Venetian, and I was not planning on going down there. But then by the time I was wrapping up playing cash, it was like 1 or 12:30 or 1. And I'm like, it's time. They don't do this too often. So I just walked down the 2 miles because they closed off a big portion of that end of the strip. To drivers and everything and parking. So I just literally walked down. It's 2 miles from the Venetian down to the MGM parking garage. It's a pretty good view. I got a little video of it. And it was like blowing people's minds that I was talking to a few people there that I walked, and I'm like, this is 2 miles, like half an hour. I walked 2 miles back to another half hour. Like, it's like, oh. Like if you can't walk 2 miles leisurely at your own pace on the sidewalk, and this was, like I said, 2 in the morning. So yeah, it was probably like 85 degrees or something, but it was not very harsh conditions. Let's put it that way. What's up, HDP? Good to see you. And so yeah, it's a couple miles. Got to see them blow up the building and just walk back. I almost made some jokes on the video about George Bush did the Tropicana or something because you know that free fall speed, but you know the normies weren't ready for that one, so I just went Facebook normies flip that one out. But it was cool to see it. I'm glad I went down there. Spent an hour, and it's good to get the steps in, especially if I was sitting on my butt all night playing poker. But anyway, so according to the what I'm really was talking about with the title of this is we got a month, less than a month, right, till the election. 2 weeks, yeah, 2.5 weeks, and it's looking more and more like they're having trouble keeping up the facade of Harris really having a lot of support. And I thought that was the case the whole time. I didn't buy this fake, like right after the announcement, they're just like, oh, you know, Harris has all the support. I never bought it. She never had support within her own party at all. She got like 0 delegates. Like no one wanted her to be president. She only ever was capable of picking up the Trump hate vote, which is substantial. There are, for whatever reasons, there are a disturbing amount of people in this country who have legitimate, like, delusional hatred of Donald Trump and are just going, you know, the whole yellow dog Democrat thing, to vote for a yellow dog over a Republican. They're just never going to vote for a Republican, let alone Donald Trump. But there is 0 support for her. And I think there's a lot of people who aren't like crazy TDS, even if they're pretty solidly Democrat, who are just, it's not going to show up. They kind of really realize that their life was better a few years ago, and they're a little worried about what, like, people, if you really stop and think for like half a second, you realize that Trump was already president. None of this horrible shit that they were talking about happened. And all the horrible shit they're talking about has been happening the last couple of years. So I think that there's a lot of people who are probably just going to just not be enthusiastic enough on the Democratic side to bother when it's Kamala. And they must be getting some really bad internal polling about black men and specifically just men in general because of all the weird things that they've been putting out with Obama and that hilarious ad where it's supposed to, it was like they literally did the hick lib meme with like the guy sitting on the back of the truck, and they can't even do it. Like these guys are like all obviously gay, which I could care less, but they're trying to do this whole like manly thing. And I'm like, they couldn't even find a couple dudes who can't act obviously gay for like a 3-minute blurb talking about like rebuilding a carburetor. And like they just like asked Chat GPT with like carburetor. Like who the fuck is rebuilding carburetors? Like I've had old ass fucking vehicles. I just sold a 94 and it wasn't carbureted. They're just like, man stuff, bacon flavored soap, carburetors, pickup trucks. That's the extent to which they understand the demographic. And it was just hilariously bad at it. Really, really funny. Everything is just fake. Like they have some guy in the video talking about like braiding his daughter's hair, and he's like some bisexual guy who doesn't even have any daughters, and it's like that's just how like fake and fraudulent. Like you literally just couldn't find a guy who had a daughter, or really find one dude who just actually was, a mechanic or whatever. They're all like these actors from LA and stuff. It's just hilarious. They're trying to copy me. I used to be a carburetor aficionado just to be weird. I mean, I wish stuff was still carbureted. It's a lot easier. Can't do shit nowadays, man. I just upgraded, was able to upgrade, thankfully, to a new vehicle, and it was a 2017. And like, honestly, I don't even want to go any newer than that because I got like a real key. Anything newer has like the fob. So I got a real key. It's not all super electronics beeping at me everywhere. Yeah, I haven't seen a carbon vehicle in 30 years, even time. Yeah, I mean, so it's just like they're goofy ideas of what, like I said, of what they think is. They turn it into like a meme, like I said, like bacon, gunpowder smelling deodorant. I'm a man, and with no real idea of like what people are concerned about, why men don't want to vote for Harris and things like that as a group. And so I think they're floundering badly. But I also think, and I responded to people on Twitter said this, that makes them extremely dangerous at this last, because if they really feel like they're going to um, lose, I think that they're willing, what they're actually capable of doing and pulling off remains to be seen. But I don't think there's really anything that you could come up with that would be off the table for them in terms of what they would be willing to do. So that gets scary because I think the obvious answer is some kind of massive escalation with Iran, because they know, or it could come the other way too. If Iran thinks that Donald Trump's on the verge of winning and he may be more difficult to deal with, they may do something ahead of time. Um, he does seem like he is. That's one of my many criticisms. Trump's not perfect. I think it's stupid when people act like someone has to be perfect to vote for them. I don't believe that anyone is perfect. Everyone has their flaws, and Trump, of course, has his flaws. But I don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils either. If I thought someone was not suitable to hold the office, I wouldn't vote for them. I didn't vote for Romney. I didn't vote for McCain because they were the lesser of two evils. I don't think Trump is an evil. I think he is imperfect, and got to see what he would do as president. And I think he was one of the better presidents we've had, the best president we've had in my lifetime, certainly, and even including his flaws, because everyone else is just so bad. And obviously, when the alternative is me likely ending up in a fucking gulag, and people always laugh and think I'm joking about that. Like they put a congresswoman, a career military officer who's run for president of the United States on a terror watch list because she said things they didn't like. If you haven't heard about that, look up Tulsi Gabbard and Quiet Skies, and then come tell me that someone like some random fucking dude, it wouldn't be totally fucked if the Eye of Sauron decided to look at me for whatever thought crimes I put out there. They have moms who have tried to stand up to the PTAs, get put on FBI watch lists, and everything else. So we are on the fast track to Khmer Rouge level nonsense at this rate. J6 political. There are people who, as far as I know, are still in prison illegally to like, and against all laws about how people should get speedy trials and everything. Just absolute um, weaponization of the justice system at every level. A whistleblower who's trying to retain records about election malfeasance, getting years in prison. At least, hopefully, that will get appealed, I assume. But it's just madness out there. And like I said, these are the people who have a lot more money and a lot more clout and fame and everything than some random person like me. Yeah, Steve Bannon, I think, is still literally sitting in prison, right? And Doug Mackey's arrested for memes. For memes. We have people arrested for self-defense, for crackheads on the subway threatening to kill people. Yeah, FBI has visited people's houses for inoffensive legal comments. We're not even talking about like death threats and stuff. It's scary out there. So yeah, I think if things continue the way they're going for 5, 10 more years, I am absolutely in danger of being in a fucking gulag. That's what's at stake here. So it's not good. So luckily it's looking good, but like I said, keep your head on a swivel because they're willing to do pretty much anything. And I think escalation is a big one. And I hope that Trump would not continue to escalate with Iran if he wins as well. But no matter what happens, he's going to be much more pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed about it than she would be, or the current administration and stuff would be. Yeah, we will be gulag buddies. Just so you know, though, I'm not wasting away in gulag. Taking down, my goal is 3 guards. Obviously, if escape's an option, I'll do that. But if I can kill 3 guards, that's how I'll go out. If every one of us just get even a 1-to-1 ratio of every prisoner taking out a guard, they couldn't. That's not sustainable. So if you just get 1, that's all you get into. Hack your liberal neighbor's Wi-Fi and use the connection to post inoffensive comments. I mean, if it gets to that point where I have any kind of heads up, you just go dark. Just don't use any electronics at all. As much as I love doing the Wi-Fi or the live streams and everything else and posting YouTube videos, just shut it down. Shut it down. As Gordon Ramsay would say. It really got to that. But at that point, you'd have to start thinking about leaving the country and stuff, and they can't sleep. But hopefully that doesn't come to that. But we are in for some weird times, that's for sure, especially when you add in all the geopolitical stuff that's happening domestically, internationally, all the financial issues, resource issues, especially if we have continued increase in conflict. Like, it's just insane the amount of resources and energy that war and conflict soaks up. Just kind of like human capital alone, just insane. I sinned yesterday really bad, stole 3 Harris signs. Oh, I'm surprised you could find 3. Let's put it that way. Everything's fine, I've been assured. Exactly. I have been to the mountaintop. I have seen the promised land. And it is this. We're ready. We're going to get them. We're going to get these mothers one way or another. Third attempt. Yeah, I heard about that. I've seen some people post on Facebook that they think there was something weird going on. This guy was supposedly like a very, not necessarily a Trump supporter, but very right wing, and that it was maybe a mix up of him just being a little weird, but not literally wasn't trying. I don't know. I don't know the details. But we'll find out some more as time goes on. But yeah, like I said, we got a few weeks. I expect some weird stuff to happen between now and the election and between now and the end of the year. And all we can really do is keep stacking all the good stuff. All right, you guys got any questions? I need to watch the end of this game. Are we on halftime? What are we at? Maybe see if Joe Burrow's getting it done. All right, so far so good. Almost halftime. So like I said, don't gotta rush. Trump is collecting assassination attempts like Pokemon. Yeah, man. I mean, if you look back, we don't hear about them because most of them are so ill-fated and pathetic that every president has had quote assassination attempts, like some person driving around the White House with a gun or he's got a propane tank. But most of the time they're so just addled and crazy that they don't even rise to the level of being seriously considered assassination attempts, except Trump. Still 7-0. Good to go. Is that a mushroom cloud explosion figurine behind you? You're goddamn right it is. You can change the colors too. Oh, maybe we run out of batteries. There you go. There are all sorts of colors in there. I prefer this one. It looks more. Oh, there you go. And it doesn't actually flicker in real life. That's just a frame rate. So I got my mushroom cloud and I got my cactus. I have there's a video where I did link to those. They were like absurdly expensive for what they are, but I do really like it. I think they were like $55 on Amazon or something for this little resin mushroom cloud with an LED light in it. But I do really like it. It's totally worth it to me. But I mean, like, it's like 50, 60. But can't say I'm a displeased customer. I think it's amazing. That's why you have a separate iron bar, screen door, no cop. Yeah, exactly. If you can at all, and not just for cops, some absurd amount of burglaries are just strong arm entries through the doors in your house. So certainly recommend things like I had the On Guard in the past. They don't exist anymore. Something like that. The barricade, the door armor is a big one because that the door armor you can put on, or even just the smaller like 6, 8 inch strike plates, and then also replace the. If you do one thing when you're for security, replace the screws on your strike plate and your hinges with 3 inch screws. They literally have like half-inch screws and half of a 2x4 basically that's been drilled out is all that's stopping someone from kicking in the door. But if you can get the iron safe security doors, storm doors, whatever you would call it, they're fantastic. And also, I like mine because when I open the door and talk to people, like they can't see in. I can see unless it's like really dark outside, and I have the light on inside but off outside, create like a differential, then you can kind of see in. But vast majority of the time with the porch light on or the out light, like you can't see in. And so you see, it's unnerving if people like don't know where to look. And so you can open the door, you can talk to people, you can film them, and you can also tell them to fuck off, and they can't do shit about it. You can ask them if they have level 4 plates, all the fun stuff. Got my MP5 yesterday. Nice. Now I'm broke. Damn, I told you. I mean, they're great, but I don't think that they are really uh needed for me. So even though they're this very nostalgic because we see them in all the movies and all the video games, Cane Corso and Tavor TS12, nice. The big mutts, they help a lot. Help you notify you when someone is yeah. But congrats on MP5. Yeah, I miss my big mutt. He was perfect because he would not bark almost ever, but would like always bark when he heard the noise or someone at the door. So it's perfect amount. Because I can't stand the yappy little things that just are always barking because it becomes a nuisance too. And that's what I was talking about in one of the previous live streams. Someone said that like peacocks and guinea fowl and stuff like that can be good alarm. And I'm like, they can, but they're always making noise. So you got to be able to like differentiate what the oh, there's someone invading noises versus just the I'm a stupid bird and I like making noise because I don't have anything else to do. But yeah, so I definitely, and I think we could very well see increased crime, and we're already seeing, especially with like homeless populations and stuff. But that's the good news, is that most of the time they're fairly inept, crazy drug addict. But even the places where there's like these Venezuelan gangs, most of the time they don't come equipped to, breaching tools and stuff like that. So if you just don't open your um, doors, and I also think though that fire mitigation is a big thing. That because one thing that those people might do is try to burn your place down or whatever if they realize they just can't get in. But even if they did come with like demo saws and all that other nonsense, you would have a couple minutes. Even if they're really prepared at it and really good at it, you're going to have a good 30 seconds to do what you got to do. And it's usually the simple things that stop or they're the best. Instead of coming up with all these elaborate systems, stuff like Dragon's Teeth with tanks, it's literally just a big concrete or metal asterisk that is really tough to drive over. You have large fire extinguishers. I recommend the little ones for in your kitchen and stuff, but then a real full size one, like in your car. Not a full size one for your car, but a real one in your car, full size one in at least a couple rooms in your house, like the room that you sleep in, probably by the front door or something like that. And yeah, fire sales. Transferable or similar. Do you think the general public's opinion is changing against the government due to another botch disaster? I think in general, we have seen a lot of kind of awareness expanding on how you can't rely on the government and the government might not be telling us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's been back to back nonsense I mean, and you just see the way people react to or talk about, but even the COVID stuff specifically is a big one. Because like the normies haven't really woken up to it yet, but it's bad. It's really bad. This thing is done, and just how much they lied about it, and people are kind of realizing it now, and the things that have literally come out. And you see people like used to just scoff when you would mention something about how bad it was, or just literally how wrong, purposely wrong they were. And they used to just like, oh, you're anti-science, and now they just kind of like we talk about like turbo cancers and how it's bad for the kids. And they did some study with like millions of children, millions. And I don't think there were any that didn't have the vaccine that had myocarditis and heart damage. It was only found in the vaccine. It's just an absolute unforgivable disaster given what they absolutely know. And that was one of the things that I tried to tell people early on. I'm like, these are companies that like Pfizer is literally the world record holder for paying criminal fines for specifically lying and making fraudulent data about the efficacy and safety of their medicines. And that is literally what you're the one exact same company giving us this data is the only thing you have to say that why this is both safe and effective, even though all the prior experiments with mRNA technologies just killed cats in droves. They could never get it to work. And then all of a sudden, don't worry, it works. Pfizer says, because when they say so, they get billions and billions of dollars. And I'm like, really, guys? Really? Not letting that thing anywhere near me. Appears to be a smart decision. Big can of industrial strength bear spray. And it's all the sprinkler system on the outside of our roof just for yeah, that is awesome if you can rig up something like that. Not easy though, but definitely I think would come in handy. Appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, I definitely think we've seen people waking up. And I think people don't know what to do about it yet. They're just kind of in, and I think that a lot of that like kind of anxious malaise, quiet desperation that you feel from everyone is kind of because of that. So like the curtain's been pulled back, but that's not, people don't have a solution. They're not really ready to internalize or move forward from we can't trust the government. They're lying to us. They don't have our best interest in heart. Everything is fake and gay. Like they don't know what to do about it. Um, luckily we know what to do about it. Cats and droves like Springfield. Yeah, I hate the sophistry of the way these things are presented. Like something like unconfirmed reports, which is there are literally have been reports. You can find video of the city commission meetings in Springfield where people are talking about well months before that debate ever took place about people talking about reporting multiple reports of pets being killed or gone missing, and even the city not city commissioner, but whatever they had, whatever that guy was, maybe city commissioner was like, yeah, we've heard that. And then they act like it's a complete lie and fabrication. Like something that is unconfirmed or, maybe rare, that's not the same thing as false, debunked, or a lie. And so it's just pure sophistry. Because it would have been safe to say that has, if they were saying at the time that was unconfirmed, but there are reports of that, but they're unconfirmed. And I honestly don't think that the people are eating the dogs and cats there. From what I've seen, and I would guess that because all those it's a lot of work and everything. Like, these people are getting free food, they're getting free housing. Like I don't think they need to eat cats and geese food. I think they're probably doing it for the various occasional rituals and stuff that you want to do. If you're, there's a lot of Haitians and that are into voodoo and Santeria type religious practices that occasionally want to do like animal sacrifices and stuff. The memes were great. They're fantastic. And that just shows us the path of this. It just steamroll these losers when they try to like make people shamed. But it's just pure sophistry, and I hate it because it's disgusting that it works on anyone. Like you have to be midwit or worse for any of that stuff to even work. And you tell by the way that they say things that, exactly how they're wrong about everything, or exactly how they use language to try and put a spell on people to gaslight the hell out of them. Just like another good one, this is a perfect example of the massive sophistry that they use, is when whatever her name is, Katani Jackson or whatever, the White House press secretary, when there were reports of, not reports, but when people were saying that that FEMA spent a bunch of money on illegal immigrants, or they spent the hurricane money, so they don't have money for hurricane relief because they spent all on illegal immigrants. The way they came out and presented it is that FEMA never spent hurricane funds on illegal immigrants. And this is the sophistry, because they will just say, these funds are allocated for hurricanes. These funds are allocated for immigrants. We only spent the immigrant funds on immigrants. We just don't have enough now for the hurricane funds, but we didn't spend the hurricane funds on the immigrants. And it's just pure sophistry, because obviously money's fungible, and it would be no different than me telling my mortgage company, oh, I didn't spend my mortgage money gambling. I spent my gambling money gambling. Now I just don't have enough to pay my mortgage, but I never spent my mortgage funds on gambling. I just spent gambling funds on it. That was pre-allocated funds for my gambling. And it's now I just don't have any left. And so it's it's lies, obviously it's deception, and it shouldn't work on anyone. You can go back and find the FEMA posts from FEMA themselves talking about the money and the programs that they're doing for all these immigrants. So it's pure sophistry, and it's the fact that it works on anyone is just proof that universal suffrage is an absolute fatal disaster, mortal wound. We haven't had a meme review in a while. Good point. There's been so much, like a flood of memes. I definitely will have to do that one. Someone send me an email reminder, like Friday or something of next week, and I will definitely get the memes. There's been some extra spicy goodness out there. As we run up to the election, meme review for sure. I don't have them queued up now, but definitely we'll do that in the future, because those are fun. Asians eat mud pies because they like the flavor. Yeah, I mean, do what you want. I'm not gonna eat it. But let me know if you guys have any last minute topics you want to cover. And just as a reminder to everyone, if you were here at the very beginning, at the end of the month, so in just 2 weeks, you will get, if you're on Patreon, which I'll put a link in it's just patreon.com/wasteland. I think the link will be in this afterwards. Got the Leehoos water resistant hand crank radio will be selected to a lucky winner, and the number of entries you get are depend on what tier you're in. It's got the presets for weather channels, AM, FM. It's got flashlight built in. And I don't know if you guys saw the video I did. It only got like 500 views, but I let the battery run down completely where it actually shut off. And then I hand cranked for 30 seconds. And the radio stayed on for like 4 or 5 minutes until eventually it was like, oh, turn it off. So the hand crank works well. The battery is a real battery. I'm still, was remembering that back in the day in the 90s when they would have these feeble electric motors, battery technology was crap. Light bulbs were like actual incandescent bulbs. Now we have great LED technology. So the effectiveness of these things has gone way up, and I'm way more impressed with that. It's actually something that you can use. And it has like a 3,000 milliamp battery, which is basically one of those battery packs like this big, size of a deck of cards or something. Charge phone off it. You can run a light or a radio. When I first got it, I turned the light on and let it sit there, and it lasted like 3.5 days. And I don't even know if it was fully charged when I got it. So that's how much better these things have gotten. And then I'll also have this emergency light that clips to your phone jack if you still have one, and this passive fire extinguisher, which you can actually throw into the fire if you need to. But I also think it's great to keep in either above a stove or in your car. So if the fire were to conflagrate without you necessarily there, it could potentially rupture that and have a shot at putting it out or slowing it down. Yeah, this isn't a 20-ounce bar. This is only 10 ounce. It's a long boy. But I'm not ready to start giving away my gold and silver yet. I will probably occasionally throw in, but a lot of the stuff I've gotten very cheap, like old battle boxes and stuff. So and right now, if I get a lot more patrons, for sure I'll start doing gold and silver. But right now, the amount of patrons barely covers the shipping for the winners. There's a meme of Shinzo Abe telling Trump, oh, I know, I love that. There's like a whole video about it. Shinzo protecting him. There's a hilarious anime that they made too about like this spirit of like Uncle Sam, like moving the bullet. It's fucking great. Good stuff. Like all that. Yeah, so there'll be a lot more to talk about. Let me know what you guys. I have a couple videos that I plan on doing. So let me know what you. Let me see if I can think of. I wrote them down. Which do a quick poll of which one you want me to do next. So it was one of them is the things I've learned, tips and tricks and things I've learned about concealed carrying, like every single day for the past couple of years, barring airport or whatever things are like literally can't. The other one would be things to put in the Faraday cage that you might not expect. And then the third choice was, I had another one. What was it? Show us the number 10. This is the 10, the long boy. And they got a little one boy, 1 ounce. I guess that's it. So which one of those two do you guys want me to do next? We should be able to do that early next week. And of course, don't forget, before I sign off, the most important way to make sure you survive the apocalypse, Rule the Wasteland Survival Fishing Kit, available on Amazon or rulethewasteland.com. Full money back guarantee if you don't survive the apocalypse. This was called Leehoo's, that radio. And I actually saw it from Morgan at Rope Preparedness in a video on it. And I was like, she was like, this is adorable little radio. And I was like, that is adorable. If you look at my last couple live streams and videos, the link will be in the description. And I will post it. Actually, I should be able to grab it right here for you. I'm not doing anything important. Let's find that. Let's find that link. There he is. So we'll get that link for you. This is the Leehoo's radio. Bam. And I'll put that in the after the fact too. I'll put it in the description. So cool, guys. I think I'm going to call it. But appreciate you guys showing up. What channel frequency do we set the mail things at? That's one thing I really need to get squared away is comm stuff. It's my weak area. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking more into that. And that seems like all the people who have been involved with the hurricane stuff said that's just so huge to be able to have a couple sets of these radios and stuff that you can pass out. But I caught 4 fish last week with your fishing kit video review. Awesome, man. Like I said, post that video and then whichever one you hack, I think you said you had the micro. I'll ship you a free the other one, whatever one you don't have, and if you can do another video on that, I appreciate it. HTTP pieces, all the frequencies. Yeah. I'll hit you up. I know you got your squared away, so the 411 as it were on what I need. But appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned. There'll obviously be more. And stay safe out there. Talk to you guys soon.